Hi, I'm Rob Toole. I'm a partner with Cone HR Consulting, and today we're going to talk about the Fair Labor Standards Act. What does that do? Basically, it governs the rules of overtime. Now that we've had COVID and a lot of people are in different work relationships, I thought it would be a good time to go over what those rules are. Generally, if you work more than 40 hours a week and you're hourly, you would be paid time and a half for that 41st hour. If you aren't paid or exempt from that law, you're also called salaried. So those are the general terms that we use. It's important to note that some states have different rules for overtime. For example, California, in addition to 40 hours in a week, it's also more than 8 hours in a day. So if you are in a state where that is a rule, you're going to need to consult and make sure you're following that. Another thing that most people are not aware of is that there is a minimum salary. If you make someone a salaried employee, you have to pay them a certain amount of money. Right now, federally, that is generally $684 a week or $35,568. Also, some states and municipalities have minimum salaries. Right now, New York is $55,341. New York City has some that are even higher than that. So if you do classify someone as salaried, it's very important that you pay them the minimum. So when someone is a salaried employee or no longer eligible for overtime, they're exempt from the law. And how do we get them exempt from the law? There's a number of different categories. The first one and the easiest one is executive. That's someone who's in a management role and manages 2 or more employees. If they do that, then they can be considered salaried. Also, if they make more than $100,000 and are in any role, they don't have to be paid overtime, of course. So the executive one is very easy. The next one is professional. A professional exemption is what they call a learned profession, and that's you're a doctor, a lawyer, teacher, some of those professions where, as the rule says, it requires advanced knowledge and requires discretion and judgment in your day-to-day work. So the professional exemption, again, is pretty straightforward. Another one that people get confused is called the computer exemption. The computer exemption is for IT workers that really are in the creation or design or consulting role that have a fluid job. So you can be considered exempt or not eligible for overtime if you are in the programming, design, or consulting role. If you're in a simple break fix or IT help desk role for IT, that is not something that is salaried and can be and should be eligible for overtime. The next one, which is also relatively straightforward, is outside sales. People that are outside making sales, obviously they're on the road. It's difficult to track time, so they are exempt from overtime, and they have to be outside sales. One thing that's done very frequently that's incorrect is inside sales is eligible for overtime. And that is very complicated from time to time because when you're inside sales, you have to factor that overtime into your commission. So it's important that if you do have insides that you understand what's going on. The next one, which is the most complicated one, is the administrative exemption, and that is where most mistakes and most errors are made. And in this case, the rule states that the person must be first in non-manual labor, must be working in what they call matters of significance and exercise discretion and judgment. Now, where it gets very complicated, let's say you've got a staff accountant, which could almost be in the professional exemption, or you could have a bookkeeper, which would not be a professional exemption, would be hourly. And if they're in the accounting department of a large firm, sometimes we fall into the role of making them salaried anyway. So it's really important that you analyze each role. Another one is admin support. People that are administrative employees, such as even secretaries to the CEO, sometimes are considered salaried, and that is not the case. It should always be overtime unless there's very specific things that they do in terms of judgment and significance. The thing that I always ask when someone says, oh, that person should be considered salary, I say, can they go out and spend $10,000 without approval, or can they hire and fire somebody without getting approval? Now, generally that's no in a lot of places, but that's the kind of thing that you would be able to do if you were truly someone who's exercising discretion and judgment in your role. So it's really important that you understand these rules, and we at Cone HR can help you understand them, and give us a call if you're not sure. Thanks.